Hello and welcome to another video by Moonlit Sea Prints. I'm David Kutcher, the owner and curator at Moonlit Sea Prints in East Hampton, Massachusetts. Today we're going to talk about Ogata Gekkō. Ogata Gekkō was a Japanese artist best known as a painter and a designer of ukiyo-e woodblock prints. Lived 1859 to 1920. He was self-taught in art, won numerous national and international prizes, and was one of the earliest Japanese artists to win an international audience. Gekkō was self-taught in art and began by decorating porcelain and rickshaws and designing flyers for the pleasure quarters. Around 1881, he took the surname Ogata at the insistence of a descendant of the painter Ogata Gekkō. He soon was designing prints and illustrating books and newspapers. In 1886, Gekkō produced the print series Gekko Zuhitsu, Gekko's Random Sketches. In 1888, he married an art student of his, Taikiku, his second marriage, and changed his family name to Tai. The First Sino-Japanese War was the subject of a number of triptychs he designed in 1894 to 95, and from 1890s onward, Gekkō won a number of art prizes, both national and international, one of the earliest Japanese artists to win international attention. This print in front of you is Yokogawa Kanbei Munetoshi, one of the 47 Ronin from Ogata Gekkō's series Gishi Shiju-Shichi Zu, illustrating the book The Chushingura. The Chushingura is based on a true story and relates the deeds of 47 samurai who became Ronin, or masterless, in 1701 after their lord had been forced to commit ritual suicide, or seppuku, but for assaulting a court official who had insulted him. The Ronin avenged their master by killing the court official after patiently planning for over a year. They were themselves then forced to commit seppuku. Yokogawa Kanbei Munetoshi, who we have depicted here, was an expert in military art and a learned man. He's generally credited as being the first one to get into the living quarters of the lord that they were killing mansion during the night attack. 5 days before the raid, he wrote a farewell letter which stated that, quote, "Tears were the lot of a warrior." So why am I talking so much about this print, however beautiful it is? Because below it, here we have the original key block that was used to print it. There is a feeling bordering on magical when you acquire an original carved cherrywood block used to publish a print by a notable artist over 100 years ago and put it together with a copy of the print it was used to create. As a collector and dealer, being able to pull these disparate items together and pair them is a reward unto itself. I hope that you, the person watching, share in that feeling. Here we found and paired the original key block, the carved block that is the first to get printed and generates the black outlines that you see in the print. You can see the detail of the samurai as he's running, the signature here of Ogata Gekkō, and here is the description of what it is up in the top right corner. Within traditional Japanese woodblock printmaking, the image is first reversed onto an initial key block, which we have here, which is usually the darkest and most detailed of the multiple blocks needed to make a print. Many times, anywhere from 5 to 30 carved blocks will be used to create different parts within the image. The key block contains the outlines and visual information necessary to make all the succeeding blocks print their colors in register on the final print. So it is carved first and its image is then transferred to several more color blocks, which are then carved. The actual printing of the multi-block image begins with the making of a set of proof sheets from the key block, which are then used to ensure perfect registration, meaning that they line up the way that they're supposed to, of each succeeding color block. Beginning with the lightest color, the first color block is set in the press and adjusted in relation to the proof sheets. Not to be too obvious, but the key block is quite literally the key to a successful print, while also being the most interesting of the blocks as keepsakes. Otherwise, what you'd have is you'd have little sections of a block that wouldn't make sense if you were just to find them by themselves. But being that it's the key block, it has the outlines of the major parts of the image itself. Now, the block is, like I've said, we have it here. We have some vertical cracks. You can feel it. It's very, very hard cherry. Amusingly, termites had at it, which is bound to happen because, well, it's wood. On the back as well, we have additional carvings. So some of these pieces, not this print, some of these prints were embossed. So up in that top left register that I had before with the description, there's embossing in it that is a pattern that's actually found right here, which is used for that patterning to kind of push into the print without ink. And then here we have little carvings as well that might have been used for different sections of the print as little notes. Someone has obviously set this up to be hung as a display piece as well. When this crack occurred, I'm assuming it was after the printing was done, because we're not able to see this little damage in the crack in the actual print itself. Needless to say, finding old key blocks and old blocks like this are exceedingly rare for a number of reasons. One, the wood was exceptionally expensive. So what would happen is, after an edition was printed and the publisher was saying, we're not going to print any more of this, they would oftentimes file them down entirely so they could reuse the wood for the next block or for the next image. So before, when we had a key block for a book, that was generally what was happening, was that after they were done with this image, they would file it down and then reuse it again. The second reason, termites. As you can see, we've had some termite damage right there. Termites love wood. The third is that in 1923, there was a giant earthquake, the Great Kato earthquake. And in that time, most of the publishing houses, or many of the major publishing houses, were in the Tokyo area, which, as a result of the earthquake, had massive fires and quite literally burned to the ground. And being that these are cherrywood blocks, they went up in smoke as well. So finding a block from a print pre-earthquake is exceedingly rare and super fun. And like I said, being able to pair the block with the print that it was used to publish is very, very cool. Well, thank you for joining me today.